Thanks for tuning in to Hobbs and Horror Movie Review Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Hobbs and Horror. I'm Eric.
I'm thirsty.
And I'm not.
Well done, guys. So, does somebody know the name of this movie we just watched?
Oh my god, Eric, are you fucking serious? Night of Something Strange.
So we watched this movie, Night of Something Strange, and it was something strange, alright?
It was.
So,
And it was at night, mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly.
so Gavin, why don't you give us a little idea of what this gem was about?
Okay, sure. So we start off with a janitor named Cornelius, and he works in apparently a hospital because it has a morgue. So he goes into the morgue, and there is a female corpse in there, and we learn from the toe tag that she has some kind of an STD and was involved in some kind of radioactive incident. I don't know exactly. I don't know if they ever really were very clear about it. But he decides, not reading the tag, that this is a perfect opportunity to get laid. And whatever the STD and radioactivity did when they mixed, it gets transmitted to him, and he transmits it to his mother.
And how does he do that, Gavin? Just wondering.
For the viewer.
How do you transmit a sexually transmitted disease to your mother, Gavin?
In a sexual way. And then from there, the two of them go out into the world and share it with other people, because sharing is caring. and when you get this virus or whatever it is, bacteria, I guess, I don't know. Whatever it is, you get the desire to spread it to other people, and you also are very zombie-like because you attack people as well. So you're a double threat. You try to kill people and try to sexually assault people.
Wow.
Is that about it?
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
So what does everybody have to say about this movie?
I mean, I'm just going to say it's a masterpiece.
I think, Jason, you say that about every movie that we watch, though. I mean,
this one's going to get a pretty high rating for me. You know, I really enjoy it. I think the humor in it, it's very, I think it's, would you say that the comparison to The Janitor is fair to an extent? I mean,
to an extent, yeah.
This is way more over the top, but it's that type of...
Yeah, well, The Janitor is blatantly like a trauma-affiliated movie.
Sure.
This one is not a trauma movie, but it feels like it would be at home in that world.
Yeah.
I feel like the humor in this one, though, wasn't as over the top as you would see in a trauma movie.
Yeah, at least not in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some pretty standard things you see in trauma movies. Like, there's always going to be, a limb beating scene.
Yeah.
There's always going to be...
And there was no arms flopping around in this. There was plenty of blood.
Yeah.
A lot of very interesting...
This is definitely one of the grossest movies I've ever seen. And I will say, so, Gavin and Eric, they didn't watch this before. This is their first time viewing this movie. I had seen it, and I had watched it with my girlfriend. And my girlfriend has never walked out of a movie or ever asked to turn off a movie before. This movie was on for about 15 minutes, and she got up and said, I'm going downstairs. I'm going to go outside and hang out with the neighbors. You let me know when this is over. And, I'm upstairs just laughing my ass off for 2 hours straight watching this thing. Yeah, it's the only time that she's ever walked out on a movie and refused to watch it. So that kind of elevates it for me a little bit too.
Yeah. I can definitely say it is one of the grossest movies I've ever seen. I don't know if it's the grossest. Maybe. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely way up there. But it's done for humor. Most of it isn't oh my god, this is disgusting, even though it is. It still is intended to be funny.
Right.
It's not intended to actually make you be repulsed, I think.
I think
some people yes, some people no. I mean,
yeah, so
it's definitely got a certain audience. It's
absolutely, yeah. It's not like offensive in a way that's like, it's not out to offend people. Like it's all done for humor,
right?
But understand that some people it will really offend.
Yeah. If sexual assault bothers you, like it might bother you. I mean, there's a lot of
just horrible rape scenes.
People raping their mothers, and if shit bothers you.
See, but I didn't find any of the sexual assault to be offensive.
See, and I didn't either.
Because and which is not to make light of sexual assault,
of course not.
Because there's movies where people are assaulted, and it's very traumatic.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this is not one of them.
No, and
it's goofy. Yeah. It's goofy sexual assault. I mean, it's goofy as sexual assault can be.
Anything that happens as far as that goes, it's not like anyone who's the victim of it then has to live with it and deal with it, because they then become part of the problem.
Right. So do you guys have a favorite rape scene?
Oh no! Yes,
I do.
I mean, well, clearly there is.
You're like, oh no, yes.
Yeah. I think there only is one that can be everybody's favorite, right?
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite rape scene?
Two dudes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So there's a dude raping another dude. How does this happen?
Well, he thinks it's his girlfriend. He comes in, and it's actually like there's a character, like an overweight character named Jason, who's passed out in the bed. He doesn't know that it's not his girlfriend, and I think
he's slightly more than passed out.
Yeah,
he'd already been attacked at this point.
Yeah, and he gets his ass railed on twice. And doesn't wake up, but he gets stuck in his ass.
He gets stuck.
And that is, as funny as that is also probably the most disturbing part.
Yeah,
not because the dude gets ass rammed, but because of the guy who's doing it. Mm-hmm. Like that guy is the skeeviest freaking character.
He is, and then when he's talking about when he's eating his ass before he sticks it in, and he's all like, "Oh, baby."
Yeah.
It's stinky down here, but I like it stinky.
Yeah, but this guy is going out of his way to get with his girlfriend. His girlfriend has made it very clear she's not interested. And then he comes back when she's apparently asleep. But he thinks.
Right.
He thinks. I mean, so there's nothing redeeming about this character.
No, it's instant karma, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets stuck in... I don't know. What happened to him?
I don't know.
He gets pulled out.
He gets pulled out, and he's holding onto the door because he doesn't want anybody to see that he's stuck inside this guy's ass. And then eventually, it just snaps his neck or something, and he dies in the doorway. And then Jason walks out and does his zombie, I kill everybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I thought that was disappointing. That. Apparently, he gets broken in half in the doorway. Yeah. And that's the end of him.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, he should have been being dragged around.
Yeah.
For the rest of the movie. That would have been way better.
Or what I was saying at the end, it would have been great if they would have not mentioned him again. And then at the end, he's still in that hotel room, stuck in this guy's ass.
Yeah. Or wherever. I mean, at the end, just be he still hasn't turned, but he's stuck now inside what would be the dead zombie.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I would say, it was definitely my second favorite dude getting stuck inside another dude's ass.
What's your favorite?
Interesting Ball. Only because Interesting Ball is the greatest movie ever made.
How do I not know about the greatest movie ever made?
I don't know, but it's the greatest movie ever made.
Okay, we're going to have to discuss this.
And it's under 15 minutes, so it's...
Okay.
It's the same guys who made Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about checking that one out.
But it's better than that.
Oh.
So I kind of thought this movie had a very bad taste vibe to it in a way, in the sense that in the sense that they just jumped right into it, and then it just never really stopped. I mean, it just went through.
That's a good thing? Or a bad thing?
This one I thought actually did it better than Bad Taste, because it took a while before I got sick of it.
Yeah, well, it starts out pretty I mean...
Yeah, it's right in there, and then it pretty much keeps going all the way through the movie. I mean, there's not really much downtime.
Yeah, like Gavin said, he's like, is there an opening credits to this?
Yeah.
Because it just jumps right in.
Yeah.
There's just immediately people getting raped and turned into zombies. And
probably 2 rape scenes in the first 7 minutes of the movie, would you say?
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. This movie, though, like, this is one of those things before I saw this movie, I had been talking for years about, man, they need to make a zombie movie that's where it's sexually transmitted.
Yeah.
And
they nailed it.
Just raping everybody. And they did it, and they nailed it.
Wow.
Like, I couldn't have asked for any more out of it.
Wow. I was thinking about, earlier today, going off on a tangent about STD horror movies. But I don't feel like it. I don't think I'm going to do it.
Okay.
So if you want to talk about it, we can. But I think that we don't need to have that conversation. We don't need to give this movie any more credit than it needs.
Well, I mean,
since all the other STD movies are better than this movie.
That's true.
You can't say that. You don't believe that.
I mean, objectively speaking, like Kids is definitely better, and that's the movie I think of right away when you say like STD movies.
And that one, Kids came up in my mind, but that's to me like adjacent because it's like it's not horror in any
real way.
It is in that it's like it will leave you feeling very bad.
Yeah, I've always said it's the scariest horror movie ever made. Kids is because it terrified me as a kid. I was thinking if I have sex, I'm going to get AIDS. This is what's going to happen.
It is. It's terrifying. So I mean, it's a horror movie without any of the horror movie characteristics.
Sure. So what other horror movies are there that are STD related? I know of a few offhand, but
Contracted.
That's what I was thinking.
Shivers. It Follows.
Oh, It Follows. Yeah.
There's a few.
Wow, you got a whole list of them, man.
Yeah.
It Follows wasn't too bad.
It Follows is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I really like It Follows. That movie creeped me out, and that very rarely happens to me, and it got me good.
In truth, I really don't have much to say about this movie because it was just kind of there.
Yeah.
It's extremely gross.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there any really high points in the movie?
I think one of the things with this movie is that there's so much gross out, it's hard to pick one thing and talk about it. Because it's constantly happening. People are constantly having their faces shoved into, like, torn off pussies. And, I will say that the scene that really won me over while I was watching it, and when, I got through the part with the tampons, there's a scene where one of the zombies, like, pulls a used tampon out of the toilet and just starts chewing on it and stuff. Yeah. That grossed me out, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. But then, when the guy gets up and you think he's going to fart in his friend's face who's passed out, and he squirts shit all over his mouth, that's what really just, I was like, all right, this movie is a masterpiece.
That was the moment, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, that's what clinched it for me.
Yeah, the gross out to me is weird because, as I've made clear to you guys, at least, before, I hate gross out humor. Mm-hmm. I just don't like it. But it didn't bother me in this movie. Yeah. It was such a big part of it that you just kind of become immune.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas, in most comedies like Van Wilder or American Pie and those type of things, there's 1 or 2 scenes thrown in.
So you're not really ready for it.
Yeah. And it's oh, really? Oh, gross. Semen, pubes, gross. Yeah. And here it was you couldn't go 5 minutes without something.
Yeah.
So it didn't have any shock value behind it.
That is very true.
Yeah.
And that's almost a downside to it where they almost overdid it with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said it's they use every opportunity they can to throw something disgusting in there.
The other thing I think is very worth talking about with this movie on the downside of it is we didn't really explain this, but so they start out in a town or whatever, and then they turn 2 people into these zombies, and they explain how the one zombie ends up, because they all drive up to some faraway hotel.
Yes.
And all along the ways, they're turning people into zombies. And then they get to the hotel, so they stop at a gas station, and they turn the gas station attendant into a zombie. But then they get up to the hotel, and at some point, everybody shows up at this hotel, and it's like, how did this guy's mom, who lives 2 hours away or whatever, the way they made it seem, and suddenly she's at the hotel as a zombie, and it's like, well,
no, I agree completely. Like, not that I want to be too hard on the movie for plot holes, but it is. It is a major plot hole because they make no effort to explain how we keep seeing the same people again and again in all these different locations. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah. It didn't even occur to me. And actually, a couple things didn't occur to me while we were watching, because like I said, I saw this movie before you guys. The names of the people, Gavin right away pointed out. There's Christine, Carrie, Freddie, and what did you say?
Jason and Samara.
And Jason, Samara. So all, like, horror movie icon names went right over my head the first time I watched it. Didn't even think about it. But
like, if you miss Samara, that's fine. But the Freddie and Jason duo, that should have been.
It should have. Yeah.
But I guess, but Freddie is just a weird name. Like, you don't see.
That's why I think it's weird. Like, having a kid named Jason isn't that weird. We have a kid named Jason in the room right now.
right.
But I don't know anybody named Freddie.
Yeah.
I might know a Fred, but not a Freddie.
I think I was distracted by zombies pissing blood all over.
Yeah, that's true.
And eating tampons. And
you were too mesmerized by all the grossness that you didn't even pay attention to what anybody's name.
This is one of those movies you got to watch several times to really understand it.
Yeah.
To get the most out of it.
I get it.
Whole experience, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I missed a few things. I think there was more I could pick up on a second.
There actually is. There is. Like, there's a few little things like that made me laugh this time around. Like, like when they bust into that hotel room and the guy has been smoking pot just sitting there the whole time. And he's just like, yo, Shawty, where's my ginger snaps? Like, just little like one-liners that, otherwise kind of just...
And that's just funny, too, because the one guy is just sitting in a hotel room getting stoned the whole time this is all going on. And everybody else in the show is out running around outside the hotel trying not to get killed.
And actually, I didn't even think about it. Did he end up getting attacked, or did they leave him alone?
Because once he met up with the two... The girl and the guy, he got killed.
Oh, okay, because I forgot what happened to him.
I did too.
I actually think Jason got him, if I remember.
Okay, okay.
So
good. Then at least they cleared that up. But that would have been funny if he just was sitting in the room the whole time.
Right.
See, like, that would have been the perfect ending. So they have the black guy. I'm sorry, I don't know his name.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Okay, so Brooklyn is sitting in the hotel room the whole time. All this happens. He gets up, walks out, looks around, sees dead bodies everywhere, and then he walks 2 doors down, opens the door, and there's the dude stuck inside the guy's butt.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect ending.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if we give away the ending at this point. But I do think the ending is kind of a letdown. Not that it's a bad ending, but...
Well, when they get into that room with the guy, the manager of the motel, that was where it was like they didn't need that.
No, I didn't. I thought that scene was dumb.
Yeah, like that whole scene was just like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
He was just the manager of the hotel, and suddenly he's got he's gonna eat. He's a cannibal, apparently, or
yeah. It made no sense.
No, it didn't. And there was, and they could.
And I don't know what was going on in that room. Like the person with the baby doll mask. Maybe if I was paying more attention, I would have understood. But I don't know who that character was.
No, I didn't. I don't think they ever showed up besides that scene. And
I kind of feel like that person wasn't somewhere in there.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe, but it made no sense. It was like all of a sudden we're gonna have like a 5-minute cannibal Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing going on.
Yeah.
Just no connection to the story at all.
But I did really like that character, the manager of the motel.
Yeah, other than that scene, the manager's great.
One of the best lines in this movie, I think, is when do you want to lick my balls? So they go into the hotel to book a room, and the guy just thinks they're gay for some reason. And what does he say about shit on the ceiling or something? It says something about blood on the sheet. I don't want to be cleaning no blood or no shit off the ceiling. And Like,
and then he's like, "Do you want to lick my balls?" And the guy's like, "What? What?" And then finally you hear him saying, he's like, "Do you want a wake-up call?" or something, but the way he said it.
But those little things like that, I mean, that's what I think makes a good horror comedy, I think, is just a lot of the subtle little things that, like, just little things that they add in that just add to it.
I do enjoy the final line of the movie too, where the guy's like what does he say? I just Googled heroin, I came up first or something.
Some shit like that.
And then he gets hit by an ambulance and dies.
It's a great line. It's a really good line.
Yeah. There's a lot of pretty decent lines for a movie that doesn't, it's literally just on Tubi. So if anybody wants to watch it who hasn't already, if we didn't ruin it for you, like, just go on Tubi and it's free. But yeah,
I am kind of surprised this one hasn't been better known.
Yeah,
I mean, you'd seen it, and I guess a couple people else have seen
it.
But I'd never heard of it, and not that this is like. I don't think it's a masterpiece. I'm sorry. I don't.
Of course not.
But this is the kind of movie that I think would get really good word of mouth, and it doesn't seem like it did.
And I feel like it would cater very well to a very niche audience.
Yeah.
Like there is a certain audience of people, some people maybe even in this room, that would really enjoy an hour and a half of the just disgustingness that happened in this movie.
Yeah, I think at least one person in this room.
Yeah, I wonder who they could be. I don't know.
and I mean, I guess from that perspective, like, for what it was, this was an alright movie. I mean, I hated it. But if you're looking for an hour and a half...
You're not hating on it as much as you hated on other movies, though.
That's true.
That's because this is another one of those movies where if you ask me to say something bad about it, I can't really tell you what was bad. But there just really wasn't anything good. And I'm, I didn't get excited about all the disgustingness of it. So,
yeah,
it was just a little over the top for me.
Yeah, the only thing I really would have liked different is, I think, this is the running complaint for me on the podcast, is I think, like, the parking lot fight scene went on too long.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think if you're going to trim anything out of the movie, that could have gone a little bit smoother. The zombies didn't have to come back to life like 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. And then a lot of them got shot in the head and came back. And then, got shot in the dick or in the vagina.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad because it seemed like at times, like, it seemed like the one dude figured out that if you shot them in their genitals, they would die.
Yeah.
And then he shot 2 of them in the genitals, they died. And then he would shoot another one, and then that one would come back to life.
Yeah.
And it was like...
There's a lot of inconsistency.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel like this was written just for fun. This was just a screw-off movie where they were... And if you ask me the scene you didn't like with the cannibal thing.
Yeah.
The writer of this movie just wanted to have that scene in the movie.
Yeah.
It didn't fit in the movie at all, but he just had the dream of having a scene.
Well, that's
scene
exactly
in the
what
movie.
happened, yeah.
And so he just kind of threw it in there.
And I think this goes back to Gavin's point that he's made a couple times now. What is the magic number? 82 minutes?
I would say somewhere between 87 and 89.
87 and 89. Okay. Yeah. So, like, if you were to cut out that scene, and you were to cut out, a little bit of that scene in the parking lot, that might bring you down to that sweet spot.
And it probably would have been a lot better of a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the fight scene in the parking lot dragged out. One scene is just weird.
And that rule is specifically, like, it works good for horror in general, but horror comedies, I think it really works well.
Yeah.
There's some, and I've said this before, there's some horror movies, you can run 2 hours. You can run over 2 hours, but you gotta nail the tension.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't do that, people are going to be sitting there bored for an hour.
Yeah, and there really was no tension in this movie.
Not really, no.
Because everything just happened so fast, there was never a build-up to anything.
So it kept moving, which was great. But once you get immune to it, once you get the tolerance of it, keep moving, it stops being as exciting.
Yeah.
I did like the contrast between the movie and the commercials that would pop up. You had like a family, it's like a Tide commercial with a bunch of kids and family and stuff, and it's like And then you jump back and there's like a bloody condom stuck to a guy's back.
Yeah, they knew who they were targeting.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there was almost no commercials in this, and I'm like, I can only come to the conclusion that nobody was willing to advertise during this movie.
Right.
Like, only the most desperate companies were willing to put an ad on it.
Well, I don't think the companies even know where their ads go. I don't think that's how Tubi works.
I don't either, but that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm assuming that a movie that cost them probably pennies to put on their service, they don't care if they get ads or not.
Yeah. I gotta say, I really love Tubi, though. I mean, they got one hell of a selection. I don't know how they do it, but, I mean, because it's all free, you gotta watch the ads. We all grew up, in the 80s where you had to sit through commercials,
Yeah.
And that never bothered me. So I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the better platforms for horror movies.
And I think they do a very good job because they're very cautious about, they're not going and trying to get these flashy movies to put on.
Yeah.
They stick to like old stuff, like cheap stuff for them to obtain. But it's also good because when you want to watch one of those old cheap movies, that's where you're going to find it.
A lot of times you can't find it anywhere
else. Yeah.
I mean, even this movie, I tried to look for it to buy because I wanted a physical copy of it, and the only one I can find on Amazon or online is outside of the United States. Like you can't play it on Blu-ray players in the United States. So a couple movies that I've seen.
Do you know what it was? Was it like German or?
I don't remember. It was B2
Japanese
or something.
Okay, I'm like curious which country gets this movie.
Right.
So
which lucky country?
If Tubi is out there listening, give us a plug, man. We just totally plugged your service.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Tubi, not a sponsor, but appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, do we have ratings on this movie?
Yeah.
I do.
All right. You want me to start?
Yeah, I want you to start.
I think I'm going to have to go. I'm going to give this a 4.5.
Ooh.
Wow.
Generous.
That is generous.
Not bad. And if I think you're the type of person that is, just looking for an hour and a half of just pure disgustingness, it's probably like up at an 8 from that perspective, because it really nailed it. Even though it goes on and it, like we said, it doesn't really have the oomph that it should have because it's just nonstop.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty impressed with the way, obviously they didn't have a lot of practical effects, like masters working on this movie. But they were able to
there's some okay stuff, though.
Yeah, there's some pretty good blood squirts and things like that, or when they bite. There's, I think, multiple scenes where a guy goes to eat a chick out and just starts chomping down and spits out chunks.
Yeah.
Or the dick.
I thought the tentacles looked cool.
The tentacles?
The thing that comes out of the women?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I remember
There's like a tentacle that comes out of the women and tries to pull the...
It comes out of the men, too.
Does it?
The postman had one.
It come out of his ass?
Remember the postman had it coming out towards the chick at the end?
that wasn't a tentacle. That was his dick.
That was
a dick.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's why it had a dick head on it.
Oh, yeah, it did, didn't it? Okay.
Yeah. And it even had a little dick hole. It was like twitching and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably just sold this movie with that description.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, if you like weird shit like that, this is, and I do, you're going to get my rating in a minute.
Zombie tentacle dick right there. That's people.
All right, well, take it over to Gavin. What are you giving this?
Well,
Gavin?
now I feel weird because you gave it a better rating than I expected.
Oh, really?
Because I was fluctuating somewhere between a 2 and an 8, and I've settled on a 5. I'm going with a 5.
Wow!
So
holy crap!
So I'm actually not really much higher than you are.
Yeah,
and it's I don't dislike the movie. I like the movie. I enjoyed the movie, but I don't know. Like, I don't see this being a movie I'm going to return to the way that others. I do. And I don't know why. I couldn't even give you a really good reason why. But I didn't end up being like, this is what I'm missing in my life.
Dude, if there is
so it's like a good one-time watch, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I probably don't need to see it again.
Yeah.
Gavin, if we ever watch a movie for this podcast that is like something that has been missing from your life, dude, you really need to question your life, okay?
No way. There's a lot of great movies out there that really, they can change your whole mood, your whole day, your whole week.
Yeah.
It's like if you're, probably not you, Eric. But if you're a movie lover, movies can really change your whole day.
Yeah, I've never, usually if I sit down and I watch Schindler's List, I don't go party afterwards. Like, I usually want to go to bed.
Actually, you want to go to bed halfway through the movie, probably.
But anyway, so I'm going to stick it right in the middle just because there's things about it that I thought were absolutely amazing. Loved every second of it. And then there were parts where I was like, oh god, this movie is so dumb.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put it right in the middle just to balance it out.
I get where you're coming from because there's a lot of repetition with what was happening to people.
Yeah.
I guess, you can only be so creative. I was kind of hoping when the mother figure was on top of the car, and that's where the black guy got killed, is when she jumps on his head. And, like, her vagina's on his head. I was hoping that she was going to slide down so his whole head was inside of her. And then, he was going to walk around, kind of do one of these waving around his hands and stuff. But that didn't happen.
That is better.
See, now, in, like, stuff like that, that's, I think, a big part of what was missing from this movie.
Yeah.
Because if that would have made me laugh, and that would have been very memorable, even with all the other gore, that was in it. That would have pushed it up.
Yeah, there's a few missed opportunities.
I will agree completely with that. I think if you would have actually made it just even sillier, that would have made the movie look better.
Yeah.
And they had a golden opportunity with the guy stuck in the other guy's ass. I mean, that was a golden opportunity
It was
kind of floored.
It was funny, and they did a good job with that. But
they could have done a lot more.
They could have done more.
Yeah.
Yeah. As strange as it is to say that, because of how much shit that is in that movie, there were some missed opportunities and ways they could have done better, and things they could have just cut completely right out of it, like that whole scene that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Okay. You're gonna give it a 9?
Yeah, and literally the only reason I'm not gonna give it a 10 is because I thought of better ways to do things in the movie. Like a better ending or a better, And I feel like
if they would have implemented those things, you probably would put this on the 12 scale.
Yeah, I probably would have. I would have been up there with the Janitor. Yeah. Because I think I think some directors, especially when they're like independent directors, making an independent film, like I'm assuming this is, I think they get a little too like caught up in like what they want to do with, like they get an idea in their head, like I want this scene, like what you were talking about. And instead of like, is that going to make the movie better? Instead of, like, well, I had this whole thing played out, like in my mind, this is how it's going to be and everything else. Like, okay, but is it going to make it a better movie?
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe
cut that scene and put it in your next movie.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe this guy thought this was going to be his only opportunity, and so he put it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only reason I'm giving it a 9. Otherwise, I would give it a 10 because this movie... But it also is one of those movies I feel like was made specifically for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is a movie that literally is, like, from start to finish is just like if I was going to make a movie, this is the movie I would make. In fact, like I said before, I had discussions about what if they had a movie where, it's just like sexually transmitted zombies, and they took it, and I think all things considered, I think they did a really good job with it. There's just a few things I would have done different.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I liked it, but I can't even tell you why, because I went high on my Janitor number.
Yeah, I'm really surprised you didn't give this one a little more love.
And the Janitor is objectively a much worse movie.
Yeah.
Well, see, and I thought the Janitor was better, and you know why I think the Janitor is better?
This is so weird.
I think the Janitor is better because they had the things that we've been talking about they should have done in this movie.
Yeah.
They did those things.
You're right. You're right.
they had those scenes that were just like, you couldn't have done that scene better.
That's true.
And they dropped the ball on so many scenes in this movie.
That's true.
So
so you kind of had to give it a higher rating.
Okay, you're not wrong. I can't look at the janitor and say this is what I would have added to this.
You're
right.
You know, they did the best that
for their $20 budget. They did it.
That's true.
So, oh man, you know what?
I think whoever's responsible for the janitor, I think they owe us something.
I think so too.
We're on episode 7, and I think I'm becoming a guy that can watch horror movies.
Holy
That's
shit!
Scary.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, so this will be the last episode of this podcast.
7 episodes into the best movies in the
So, is it Eric, or do you have a pick next, or is it Gavin, or?
I think
are we doing?
It's Gavin, because I did the.
You did Doom Generation?
So.
Okay, well then I got Head of the Family coming up. Then.
Oh, nice!
Head of the Family.
And I own it, so I can bring it. Otherwise,
it's already on this server.
Oh, is it? Oh, nice, sweet.
So tune in 2 weeks for Head of the Family.
Oh my god!
As always, we thank you for tuning in, and we will be back with another awesome movie.
Head of the Family. It's
Head
great.
of the Family. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to Hobbs and Horror Movie Review Podcast. Join us in 2 weeks for another exciting movie review.